and would never teach her child those things. So anyhow, okay, now we're being live streamed. Enough of that. but, but yeah, it's um, pretty interesting, when the kids come to you with these questions, and she's 5 years old, so she really is just so innocent and impressionable. And I remember being the same, very innocent and impressionable, and really curious about God, really curious about God, and really wanting to know about God, and thinking, that I could have a connection with God. And, I mean, this is what people told me, so I had to think that that was true. And because I didn't know any better than that. But, um, that never went away. I've always, ever since I was a little kid, thought about that, and like I said, very curious about it, and curious about death. Death is very curious to me when I was a kid, thinking about, what is it? What happened here? And not imagining that where did people go when they died? Because I couldn't imagine that they didn't exist anymore. I just they weren't here. So I don't know. Anyway, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our discussion of Manna for Teachers. My husband's birthday last week was really nice. We had a good time. And then today is my granddaughter's birthday. So their birthday is a week apart. And my daughter was so mad when she found out she was having a Scorpio baby. She said, "No, I can't," because her dad's a Scorpio, and she just couldn't imagine having a kid that was like her dad. But that's how it works. Thank you, Corinne. Go ahead, Nicole.
Oh, you just reminded me of a memory. Like when I was a little girl, my nana, my first nana died. Um, when I don't know, I was only about three, maybe four, three, going on four, and it had quite a strong impression on me because I remember like everyone was telling the story of like, they were all around her when she died. Well, there was people there, and that apparently just before she passed away, just before she suddenly just like her eyes lit up, she lit up, and and she seemed filled with joy, and she was like, "Can you see them? Can you see them?" Was saying, and was then just like engaging with someone that couldn't be seen. And then she like died or passed with like just in this state of such peace and happiness. And they're not sure who it was that she was saying, "Can you see them? Can you see them?" just before she died, and drifted away to and so it was beautiful for them because it was like they knew that when she passed, she went into a state of a reunion, union with yeah, beautiful. So some people thought it might have been Jesus or family or both, or it's really beautiful, but had such an impression on me as a young child.
I just was reading the story today. These people were with their their aunt who was passing, and as they were talking to her, and she was very close to passing away, and she just suddenly goes, "Oh, Bill's here to get me." And she looked up and she died. And Bill was her husband who had passed away like 6 months earlier. She's like, "Oh, he is here to get me now." And and I thought that was just so lovely, because I don't know, we don't know. I have not had that experience, so I don't know. My mother had a near death, or death and whatever reviving situation. And she remembered everything that happened when that happened. And and the thing that is always amazes me whenever I hear these stories is it's always they can look and see their body. They can look back and see their body laying there, and so they're no longer, obviously in the body, but then they come back into the body, and and I think I've done that myself. Left my body and seen my body and not been dead or even sick. So so that's what I was talking with my granddaughter about, um uh because we were talking about death and what happened, and we were talking about that what we are as a spirit, and that the spirit lives forever and is a part of God. So I don't know if I can, you know there was really no way I could imagine that I was going to overcome whatever story she was hearing from her friends at school. And maybe I don't want to, maybe I want her to question herself and figure it out. But it's always so interesting to me, when the kid comes up with the question, um and they have a whole story in their mind about what's happening. um but anyway, anything else? I just looked, and yes, we are still in what is death. And I think we read paragraph 4, and I think paragraph 5 last week. Um, but we had
I remember reading number 6, I thought.
Number 6. Okay, good. There you go.
Maybe that was the last chapter. I don't know. Who knows?
You know what? It doesn't matter. Well, we will read. Let's read 5, and then if we don't have anything to go on that, we'll just go on to 6. How about that? So who would like to read paragraph 5?
I would. Oh, I'm like, I want it.
Go ahead. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
No, you take 5. I'll take 6.
That's fine.
Sounds good.
The reality, the reality of death is firmly rooted in the belief that God's Son is a body. Wrong. And if God created bodies, death would indeed be real, but God would not be loving. There is no point at which the contrast between the perception of the real world and that of the world of illusions becomes more sharply evident. Death is indeed the death of God if he is love, and now his own creation must stand in fear of him. He is not father but destroyer. He is not creator but avenger. Terrible his thoughts and fearful his image. To look on his creations is to die.
What do you think about that?
It sounds like a real long joke.
It is.
We're never born. We don't exist the way we seem, and we can't die. We've always been. We are now. And this whole body thing. The body is just a projection of the mind, and we are not our minds. So I mean, it becomes really clear. You fight with that, constantly, because you're constantly thinking, well, I'm this body, and I got to go to the store now. But that's not what's real.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And I think, we talked about this, the idea of that what the world I see is a projection of my mind. It's a projection of my own thinking. And so the opposite of that is that what I am is a projection of the world. And if what I am is a projection of the world, then yeah, death is inevitable, because nothing in this world that comes from this world will live. It will always change, and it will always die, and there will always be an end, and then a beginning, and then an end, and then a beginning, because this is the circle of life, or the cycle of the physical world. But if I'm the generator, if I'm the witness and the projector of the world that I see, then it's not going anywhere. It's not coming or going. It's just being. And whatever it is has no effect on me. It's coming from me, but it's not coming back at me. There's no effect of it on me. And I think that's, for me, that the hardest thing for me to really come to a clear experience of it. I can't say understanding, because I can understand it. That if it's out there, I'm projecting it. I can logic that back and know that. But my experience is not that. My experience is that I'm at the effect of it, that it's doing something to me. And so how do I switch the experience from being an experience of the projector, or from being an experience of the movie, which is what I think I'm living, to being the experience of the projector of the movie? And again, thinking about it, I can do that if I experience the world as being only what I want to see, that I'm seeing what I want to see, and taking responsibility for what it is that I'm seeing in the world, rather than being the victim of the world. If that makes any sense. Dove, please go ahead. You're muted.
Okay, I'm back. Okay. It says in the Course there is only two emotions. One is love. Let's call love God. One is love and one is fear. Now, it also talks about light and dark. Like today, I saw this thing. I obviously I shared on it today when I was on with Laurie and Sharon, and it's called The Light Has Come. So we are the light, but while I'm in fear, I do not know that I'm the light. I am the dark. Dark is just blocking light. Dark just blocks light, so it doesn't see awareness. Awareness is light. It isn't like the kind of light you have from a flashlight. We're not talking about that kind of light. We're talking about the mind of God is awareness. So it's totally light, but in the mind of the Son of God who is in fear, darkness has descended and he can't see the light. That's why we had to bring the dark to the light, where the dark fades away into nothing. When light is here, where is the dark? Kind of like that thing where it says, "For they have come," and when they have come, it doesn't matter whether it's 10,000 years. When they have come, it's over. So it's my willingness to remember I am the light. We are the light. God is light. God is love. Light and love is the same thing.
Okay, that makes sense.
Laura
And
Leeds, FaceTime video.
I can understand it, but what is the experience of it? What is the experience of being the light? How about we go on to the next? Okay, go ahead, Ozzy.
I'm just feeling like there's a connection here, because I know there's been a huge let's say, light been turned on in this mind. How about that? So I am the light. The experience that I've been having is that the voices of doubt have quieted in this mind. And what is left is just this ability to just hear even clearer, like, what is it I'm supposed to do? Like, I had to have a rest today. And when I got up and you said, were you at that thing? I had to stop because it was like, I felt like I was there, but like Audrey wasn't there, but I really feel like I was there. So it's sort of been, I'm like, I was there, I being this I am almost. It's very, there's almost another split. Like there was a split mind, and now there's almost a split of seeing a person as opposed to who I am in this mind. I don't know if I'm even, I just feel like the light when Dove, when you said that, it was like, that is me. I am the light, but not as Audrey. I don't know if it even makes sense because I'm just right in this something happening. I love you.
It makes
Thank
sense.
you. Yeah, that does make sense. And thank you so much, Ozzy. I mean, that's really, what I'm looking at is this line right here that I'm pointing out. There is no point at which the contrast between the perception of the real world and that of the world of illusions becomes more sharply evident. And that's what I'm talking about. Where does the perception of the real world and that of the perception of the world of illusions, where does that come, that we go from that? And he's talking about the idea of death. So I'm assuming, I'm thinking, when we get over this idea that death is possible, we see the real world where we are eternal, and the world of form actually, it does drift away, and then you are there at that that webinar, because you're not limited by the form of the body, the form of, I mean, really, that's what the whole idea is letting go of that form. Anyway, thank you for that, Ozzy. Go ahead, Nicole, and then Rafi.
Okay, so the light has come and miracles are seen in light. You were saying earlier that we are the generator and the projector, right? So, the light of awareness, the light of vision, of Christ vision, reveals to us all things, right? In miracles are seen in light, right? We are that light. We bring that light. We're all connected. We're all one. So when we bring that light of awareness, okay, we're bringing that light of awareness of reality and of the truth of reality is the truth of who we are, right? We come as a light to the world, to the world, right? Because all minds are one and connected. So we bring that closer for all minds. It's like you think the beliefs of the world, right? It's like kind of like some kind of a cloud or a vortex or a cloud of beliefs that are happening, and we bring the light into that, right? Through the light of our awareness, through Christ vision, our vision. And what is the awareness of? the light that we are, what we are, you know, and we then become the miracle workers, yeah, and help to bring that light to all minds, you know. And it's not just through our words, it's not just through our teaching, learning, relationships. We are also bringing the light of that awareness into that this neck of the woods or of consciousness of this bunch of beliefs going on, you know. And that's why A Course in Miracles looks at it, perception and belief, and how we are the projector and we are the generator, because we are the ones who are, you know, we are looking at our projections in the world. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, but I think that's very important. And, you know, people say vision, right? Vision, light of awareness, enlightenment. What is enlightenment, right? Illumination is seeing. It's the light has come and illuminates and helps us to see. So I see it as very, very much connected with vision, and seeing and being are one. You know, we see, when we see ourselves, we see the truth, we see the reality of all. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you for that, Nicole. Yes. And light and vision. And if I can see it, if I can see something in outside of me, then it's not me. I'm just shining the light on it. But what it is not what I am. Rafi, please go ahead.
I just like to help you with, you said about how do I see the light? How do I see the love? If you get into a position where you can experience the quiet, where there is only the quiet, there's no mind activity, there's no thoughts, there's no feelings, there's nothing going on, and you can experience the reality of the quiet. That's the light, that's the love, that's the beingness, that's our oneness. And I'm blessed that I experience that quiet all the time because I know it's there now. And so I can access it, honor it, meditate on it, just be present with it all the time. And that is the only truth, because quiet doesn't have a size, it doesn't have a form, it doesn't have a shape. And it is that light, it is that love, it is that truth that we are. And being one with the quiet is being the truth, is being. And the absence of mind is, well, it's where heaven is. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Rafi. Yes, it's in that quiet that, well, where we don't have the running agenda, the running dialogue of the ego mind that just is describing everything to us and pointing out everything to us and asking questions about everything. You know, that's, you know, when that mind stops running and you become receptive rather than projective of what is. Please, Dove, go ahead.
Yeah, I thank Rafi for that, because I'm in total agreement. I mean, light has nothing to do, like if you have a flashlight, it has nothing to do with light. It's the peace of God. It's the light of awareness. It's the beingness that is all there really is, unless we're in fear, and then things get dense and we go into different levels of energy, and the light is not even there. They once did a thing like that on Star Trek, but and in the elevated thing, you watched people who were in bodies in form, and they were moving like, you know, they would move like an inch a minute, you know. but when you let go, there is no form, there is no movement, there is no nothing. There's just the beingness. If it's okay with everybody, I found this paragraph, and I really feel the Holy Spirit sent me there, because I opened up the book at random, the textbook, and opened up to this page, and I did underline that paragraph a long time ago, and it just popped up. And it's from text chapter 25, which is called The Justice of God. And I've said this many times. You really want to get a look at how God thinks, you got to read chapter 25, because that's called The Justice of God, and there's 9 sections, and every one of those sections is just amazing. But this comes from section 4. I'm just going to, this is only one half of the paragraph. This is a paragraph. I mean, this is only half the paragraph, because I can't fit the whole thing on. Minds that are joined and recognize they are can feel no guilt, because there's no separation. The only guilt comes from the belief in separation. And this comes from the paragraph called "The Light You Bring." For they cannot attack, and they rejoice that this is so, seeing their safety in this happy fact. Happy fact. Their joy is in the innocence they see, and thus they seek for it, because it is their purpose to behold it and rejoice. So it's our purpose to see the innocence, and that's that lesson 190. I choose the joy of God instead of the pain. So of course you want the joy, and that's why everyone is doing the Course of Miracles. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? I want to be happy. I want the joy. So I've been doing this all day long since I found the paragraph. I got to tell you, with discipline and determination, you can start training your mind to do this on a regular basis. I have a feeling that Rafi does it already. This is second half of the same paragraph. Everyone seeks for what will bring him joy as he defines it. It is not the aim as such that varies, yet it is the way in which the aim is seen that makes the choice of means inevitable and beyond the hope of change, unless the aim is change. And then the means are chosen once again as what will bring rejoicing is defined another way and sought for differently. So it comes to me that in this world, we come here because we want to be victims. He tells you this over and over again. We want to be innocent and see somebody outside of us as guilty. I'm innocent. I'm a victim. They're victimizers. Punish them. Don't punish me. That's the purpose of the world, according to the ego. Now, if I am the light, I'm bringing the light, I have no need to find a victimizer, someone to be accused as guilty. I am loving myself. I only want to see the peace. I only want to see the joy. I only want to see the light. I have no reason at all to see somebody outside of me as different, as bad, as guilty, that they should be punished and not me. So I want to share that.
Thank you for that, Dove. And does anybody have any comments on this? I did put it up in the screen. So this is the paragraph that Dove was just reading. Yeah. I love minds that are joined and recognize they are can feel no guilt, for they cannot attack, and they rejoice that this is so, seeing their safety in this happy fact. Yes, that's exactly right. When you recognize that minds are joined and that there's nothing that can harm you, we're all the same thing. There's no reason to be upset or afraid, because we're one. It's so clear. Rafi, please go ahead.
I had a perfect example of the presence of joy today. On Thursdays, I volunteer to read in grade school for children, and I read 4 classes, kindergarten through first grade. And it's more fun than you can describe. I finish up, I leave the school, I get in the car, and I'm going to stop at the market to grab a couple of things, and then I'm heading home. And at one point, I am just erupting in happiness and bliss and joy. And it had nothing to do with what I had just been through. It had to do with that's our basic nature. And my mind got quiet enough so that all of that joy and all of that bliss, all of that happiness could become into my awareness and be the awareness that I am, beingness that I am. And it lasted for a while until a light changed suddenly, and I had to put on my brakes, and all of a sudden I got back into the world again. But there's no doubt or confusion about what that really was. That was the reality of being. That's our basic nature. And I had a couple of more experiences later on during the day. I had a releasing session with my releasing partner, which we do every day. And after that, I got so quiet, and there was so much love and joy that came up, and this intense peace. So it's there. It can never go away, and you get distracted from it from time to time. But that's the only reality, and blessed that I am in touch with it and aligned with it as often as I am.
Yeah, and that's obviously, Rafi, is because you intentionally join with your brother. There's these releasing sessions when you're out and about with people and you're interacting, you are intentionally joining with your brother. And that's really, I think, what he's talking about. Minds that are joined, when your mind is joined, you naturally go into joy because you're not experiencing guilt. And it's funny that, when you had to step on the brakes, all of a sudden your probably mind went like, whose fault is this and what's going on? Some thought came into your mind that you were in trouble, or that something could go wrong, and that knocked you out of that joyful place for a moment. And that's what happens to us all the time is, we may be in a really joyful place, but then something can happen that will just knock us out of that for a moment. And our goal is to get back as quick as possible to that state of joy that is our true nature. And I see that you do that, and this is
The key to it is when something like that happens, is just don't react.
Yeah.
And this way, there is no switch back and forth. There's just that momentary, oh, I just saw what happened. Don't react, and then you're back in the presence again.
Yeah, because you recognize nothing happened. That you don't react. If you thought something was really happening, you would react because that's only natural. But when you recognize nothing's happening, you don't have to react because nothing's going to go wrong. That's how I see it anyway. Oddsy, please go ahead.
Oh, this is just so awesome, everything. It just makes me think, like, I had this overwhelming desire to go see my niece. She lives in Saskatoon. And my great niece is 3 years old. So that's who I actually want to go see, is Aria, or I don't know. There is such a huge pushing to go do this, that Audrey doesn't want to go anywhere. I want to stay here. I like being here. I like just being in this comfort of this home. I've never liked driving in cars. I've never, like, it's just, I've got so many excuses of why I don't need to be going to do this. But something in me just is propelling me to the point of, okay, well, you're going to take a flight. You're going to fly there. It's an hour and a half. And I haven't even bought the ticket yet, but it's like, I'm not even thinking of it until I do think of it, because I just know that it's going to be whatever's going to happen is perfect, whether to go or not to go, that's not up to me. And there's this knowing that is superseding any of the little thoughts that are coming in now. Prior to that, all the thinking, all that what we call the ego ran the show. That was life for this one. It was all that it could see. It was just darkness, right? I guess that would be what it was, the darkness. Because I could read things and get this little spark, not even like just barely. I don't even think I had a flint in my hand, because it's just, for me, this has been a huge contrast of thinking and being run by the thinking versus all the thinking dropping away, like you said, the quiet, Rafi, and that now that is the truth that I know of, is the quiet. I feel also there could be so much that we could teach in our curriculums in school, even about this. I mean, there's just so much here that is of value, because the way it's constructed, well, that's the world. I guess you can't, I'm like trying to save the world now. No, it's not the way. Thank you. Gosh, this is great to talk about it in real life. And then it's like, wait a minute. So thank you. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, Ozzy. Because yeah, isn't that funny? And you go through, I do this too. I'll go through all this, thinking and then planning and then figuring things out, and then it'll suddenly hit me, what is there to figure out? What am I doing here? And how I usually go is I usually get I will start feeling nervous. If I start feeling nervous, I know it's because I have moved out of now and gone into some other time, a time where something's going to need to be done, and I'm going to have to make an action, and I'm going to have to make a decision, and I'm going to have to, the mind goes into all of the things that are going to happen in order for whatever it is to get done. And that whole time I'm like not now at all. I'm like totally in the future, totally in a place where I do not know anything. I don't belong there. And I get very nervous. And that's when I recognize, Holy Spirit keeps telling me, just stay here, Lynn. Just stay here. You don't have to go to then. It's not going to happen until you get there. So thinking about it now is not helping you at all. There may come a time when you're going to have to pack a suitcase or buy a ticket or, drive to the airport or that. But when that time comes, you'll know it and you'll do it. And there's no use worrying about it now, planning for how you're going to do it, thinking and imagining what's going to happen. There's no point in it. It's already happened. All we have to do is be here in this moment and experience what we're here to experience. Everything else is going to happen. It's all taken care of. That's, I think, to me, of all things of A Course in Miracles, that is the most amazing gift, is recognizing that the script is written and I don't need to plan for anything. Everything is under control. The Holy Spirit's in charge of, whatever. I just, when I think I'm in charge, I become a maniac. When I recognize I'm not in charge, I can just calm down, chill out, relax, enjoy myself, and I can watch what happens then. I don't have to do anything. And how Jesus tells us, when you have learned to decide with me, it will be so relaxing. It'll be like you're being carried down a path on a summer day. Everything will be happening for you and you don't have to do anything. You don't even have to do anything. You just let me take care of it for you. Let me do it for you. You know, how many times does Jesus tell us in the Course of Miracles, stop planning, stop trying to figure it out, just let it be. And sure enough, when I look back in the past and I think, how many things ever came out the way I planned them, or the way I hoped that they would be, or the way that I wanted, how many things ever came about in the way I imagined them to be? Never, never. All the things I worry about never happen. Why? You know, my imagination is so much more active with well, the ego just has all these different scenarios, and it's got, you know, all these different stories about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen and how you're going to feel and how you're going to tell people about it later. I mean, the ego is just like rampant with the story. So, you know, when you stop and step out of it and just say, I don't have anything to do with this. And you know, let it run. Let it run. Don't get involved in it. You know, just let it go, and everything happens, and you're still here. You're still it just cracks me up. I think it's so funny. Okay, Ozzy, you want to read paragraph 6?
I do.
Oh, Nicole has her hand up. Real quick, let's hear what Nicole has to say.
I just had a bit of a light bulb there when you were sharing. I was talking about this yesterday, and that's in relation to, say, beliefs in the world. Say, for example, what your parents teach you around, oh, you got to be careful of this, you got to be careful of that, oh, you know, watch out for this. So like when they won't let you go out when you want to go to a party or things because they're worried about things that might go wrong, or, you know, when you tell them that you're pregnant or you're going overseas for the first time and they start worrying about all these kind of things, they're beliefs of the world, right? And okay, and what I was seeing yesterday was I was seeing that even where I haven't resonated with those beliefs in the beginning, right? I'll be like, someone says something fearful or whatever, and you go, come on, you know, stop being a Debbie Downer, stop pissing on my parade, you know, like that kind of thing. And yet what I saw, right, was that what happens then is I try to bring light to their awareness through the wrong means, right? Okay, through the wrong means. I start then to try and convince them otherwise by actually entertaining and bringing in all their fearful thinking. And this is a habit I've had since I was a child, by taking into consideration and respecting their opinion and their fear, all right, and trying to find some kind of common ground with them, all right. And what I've realized is through this pattern, which I've had since childhood, I've inadvertently actually given reception to all these fearful beliefs of the world, and it is established in me a pattern of taking into consideration all these thoughts of fear in relation to doing things, and that interrupts my natural state of joy. You know, there can be something I absolutely love doing, enjoy doing, but when I proceed to start doing it, all these fearful thoughts come in, you know, about doing it right, or what if this goes wrong, because this is my ego. That's my ego. And my ego, in order to try and convince them, has inadvertently taken it on. Do you know what I mean? So I can look and I can go in judgment and say, oh, my dad, he's such a worry boy. He's so fearful. You know what I mean? And see it on, you know, him, right? Because, you know, and yeah, I have been giving reception to and entertaining all this stuff anyway through this pattern I've established in order to try and bring light. That is not the way to bring light. The way we bring light to teach is to demonstrate, and it is not to entertain all of these fearful thoughts. It's to be able to come from a state of beingness and knowingness and demonstrate. So anyway, this is where I've seen I need healing of my mind, and it's coming about. And I've just had this beautiful, beautiful epiphany there around it, okay, in relation to what we're reading about. It's really cool. I want to hear what this next paragraph, because I jumped ahead a little bit, but like, there is another way. That last paragraph we were reading, the one that Dove put up, it was talking about means, it was talking about aims, it was talking about how we all seek for what will bring us joy, right? And we if someone we love is sharing a fearful thought, right? Okay. We may feel like it will bring us joy in order for them to be in the same state of trust as we are feeling in, right? But if we go and think about it the wrong way, we use the wrong means and go using the ego and look to the ego to help us to do that. And all that ends up happening is we end up bringing ourselves down, and we end up taking on a split mind where, oh, there's one side that's confident and it's all okay, and yet we are being, haunted and plagued by this ego and split mind. You know what I mean? So
I know exactly what you mean, Nicole, because by arguing against it, you have to come up with a case for why your idea is better than their idea, or your idea is more valid than their idea, in which case you have to look at the validity of their idea. And by doing that, you're building it into your mind, argument for it. So,
exactly.
And this is why,
it's
that's why.
How important is it? Do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? It's like, we use these techniques in persuasive essays. We use them in debating, where we take on board all of their things and take it into consideration and write it into it. And this is our world. This is what we are generating and projecting onto the world, is this split thing. Oh, yes, on one hand, but, it's, And so here is an opportunity now to bring the light of awareness to this, and there must be a better way, another way.
Exactly. And really the way only way to do it is by seeing love and recognizing that it's love. There's it's either love or a call for love. There's and it's all love. So if that's all
and like also the beginning lessons. The beginning lessons, this does not mean anything. My thoughts do not mean anything. My thoughts about do not mean anything. If I'm seeing their thoughts as meaning something, and then I'm giving value to what they're thinking, their fears and these things, right? I'm suddenly seeing them as meaning something. I'm suddenly valuing the valueless. And I'm now just as crazy as I perceive them to be. It's me, because why am I upset by their thinking? It doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
How
and Jesus tells us, teach no brother that he can harm you. Jesus tells us, do not teach a brother that he can harm you. And this is what we're doing. We're telling you, you can hurt me if you do this, or if you think this way. Don't tell your brother that he can hurt you, because he can't. And he doesn't.
Don't think like that, or you'll jinx me. I don't want to hear your fearful thoughts, or you might infect me with your fearful thinking. And then, so wow, this is really good for me to see. This is wonderful. This is great. Oh, the light has come. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. All right, Ozzy, go ahead and will you read the next paragraph for us?
I will too, but geez, Nicole, boom. I don't know if you saw because I'm already in the dark, but I put up a bomb because that was like boom. Because yesterday, or yeah, last night, I was talking to somebody and I was giving them suggestions for what they could do for the angst that was happening for them. And they're like, nah, but and just come back with why they couldn't do that. So I another idea would pop in, I'd give that, and I'd be going. And then at the end of it, I was like, I had no more ideas. And I just said in my mind, well, I don't have any more ideas. I don't know what to do. Show me what to do or say. I love her. I don't want her to be hurting and suffering, not all of that, but just something that was just like, and not mad. I'm not, in the past, I would just have anger come up because the mind, that was just what it defaulted to. It was so fearful, it just couldn't see past anything. And then what came, I said to her, ask the universe for a better way. And she said, okay. Holy shit, I'm saying, not and then you say that, and I'm like, boom, we are all here together, man. And it's okay that at first I was like firing off these, oh, try this. It was okay because even that was a lesson for me to see that I could engage without having this this energy of being killed. Like, I swear I was killed every time that energy came up. That oh my gosh. And then now seeing my niece, my child, I can see exact things that they're going through in their life that I did. It's like it's my projection, obviously. So now they're living things that I did, but are they? I'm just trying to make it be about me again. Anyway, everything's helpful when it comes from the Holy Spirit, and this group is no different. Thank you. And I'm going to read number 6.
Please do. Thank you, Ozzy. It's so cool.
Oh, and the last to be overcome will be death. Of course, without the idea of death, there is no world. All dreams will end with this one. This is salvation's final goal, the end of all illusion. And in death are all illusions born. What can be born of death and still have life? But what is born of God and still can die? The inconsistencies, the compromises, and the ritual the world fosters in its vain attempts to cling to death and yet to think love real are mindless magic, ineffectual, and meaningless. God is, and in him all created things must be eternal. Do you not see that otherwise he has no, do you not see that otherwise he has an opposite? And fear would be as real as love. Do you not see? I see. Thank you. Boom. Yes.
Yeah. Boom, boom. I mean, that is just it. If death is real, then God is not. If suffering is real, then God is not. And if God is, then none of those things have any meaning. They're nothing. And I mean, that's without the idea of death, there is no world. Wow. Who has some thoughts about this? You mean the world is the idea of death? I mean, that's basically what it is, because everything that comes here comes to die. Nothing comes here to live. Everything that comes here comes to die. So if there's no death, there's no world. All in death are all illusions born. All illusions are born in death. What does that mean? What is the illusion is the illusion of, well, look around you. Is there anything in this universe that is not intended to die, and in fact is changing every moment, and even when it appears to be dead, still continues to die? Because death is the only thing that makes up anything of this world. If there's anything in this world that will live, then it can't be true. What do you think? Any ideas about this? Rafi, please, and then Nicole.
It keeps bringing me back to the same thing. The mind is a concept. The body is a projection of that concept, which is also just a concept. Concepts are all mental, and our infinite beingness has nothing to do with it. In fact, Leslie Levinson used to say, when you get to the point where you realize that the mind is external to you, and you can just watch it go through its paces and not have anything to do with it, well, death is a concept. If you think you're a body, it's going to have a lifespan. You're going to be born, you're going to live a while, and you're going to die. Is any of that true? No. But ego will make you hang on to it because that's the only thing it knows. And it's only a concept. And I forget who was the master who says it. To be free of all concepts is to know that you are the infinite, absolute, supreme being. And it's like Dove always says, you gotta laugh when you look at it. Larry Crane used to say, you could die if you wanted to. Go ahead, die. Give yourself permission to die. Go ahead. I'll wait. Go ahead. Give yourself permission to die. Did you die? No. Okay, so maybe it isn't true. Maybe you just can't die. Okay, and having all of that is so, I don't know what the word, reassuring, I suppose.
Thank you, Rafi. Yeah. And I mean, coming to the understanding of the reality of it, the reality of that I am not a body, and this is not a thing that has any effect on me. Nicole, please go ahead.
I was struck especially by this is a really powerful sentence. It says a great deal. Of course, without the idea of death, there is no world. Without the idea of death, there is no world, right? Now, I'm seeing, okay, we're talking the world here, all right? This isn't just about bodies or our ideas of us dying, right? Okay. This is about form. It's about form. Things that, that are born or created or made. And I wish I had the cup right now because I'm going back to lesson 1. All right. Okay. Okay. This does not mean anything. This cup does not mean anything. This body does not mean anything. They do not mean anything. And what is this cup except our thoughts about it? Concepts, as Rafi said, we've got ideas about what this is, what it is, and seeing it as a separate thing, right? It's not a separate thing, right? without the idea of death, this is a representation of death. Because why is that? Because it is a thing that lasts for a while and then it'll be gone. It'll disintegrate. It may last quite a long time, right? But eventually it will return to dust, right? Okay. And our thoughts about it change. We may, I wonder what this was called back, 2,000 years ago. Probably something different, right? And probably different. My point is, okay, I often say it's not a world. It's not a world. And that's been revealed to me through revelation, and in those moments of vision that we have, right? When the light has come and, and I'm seeing and I'm realizing that this, this grand and glorious orchestration, it's all one. I am one self united with my creator in every aspect of creation. And it's so hard to get our little ego minds and thinking minds around, because our ego is not capable of being able to grasp that. That takes the awareness, like Christ's vision, and that takes revelation, and it's beyond words to understand how within this oneness, okay, there are seeming different focal points or different, within it. Like, it's just wow, it's all one. And last week I was saying we have these glimpses and moments where we see like the most mathematically impossible things take place, or things that blow wide open our concepts regarding time, regarding so many different things, regarding separation, regarding how the world works, regarding the idea of bank accounts, regarding the, it's not real. We are the generators and the projectors. We are. It's all light. It's all a sea of synchronicity, all right? And the way it appears and the forms which change, they shift along with us. We could go look at what the world looked like, okay, back 2,000 years ago, right? How different is the world today? And, the mind and the beliefs of the world will tend to say, oh, well, that's because, and look at all these other things, right? But our thoughts have changed a lot. Our thoughts and the way we see things and our desires and what we believe the means will bring us joy and happiness is not this time of progress, yet just evidence that the mind started to explore the idea that the means to our greater joy and happiness was through making things easier and through making us having to toil less and work less for things, and being able to, that's where the progress and everything comes from, right? But the point is, it is an illusion. It is an illusion. It's all an illusion, right? It's like the Aboriginals have this concept where they call it the dream time and the dreaming, right? But what they forgot is that the dreaming never finished. We're still dreaming. It's the dreaming. It's all light. We're light. It's all light. And it's one. And we stand here in heaven, and we are the kingdom. This is the kingdom right here. And in Gospel of Thomas, he says that, like Jesus says, when he's asked, where is the kingdom? If they say it's in the sky, blah, 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 the birds will precede you. If they say it's in the sea, rah, 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 rah. And he says that it is within and without you. And then he says in A Course in Miracles that we are the kingdom. We are it. It's this is like, wow. Anyway, I'll stop there. Thank you. There is no death. It's all light. It's one. It's an ocean. They're just waves popping up out of the ocean. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Here's a wave and then back into the ocean. Do you know what I mean? This
exactly.
here, it's just a little wave popping out of the ocean with a purpose that
It's the
seems, you know,
idea that we need a drink or else we're gonna die.
it's
I
this
mean, it's the
ocean,
idea
it's
that all these
light,
things are
it's a
necessary to
sea of
keep us alive.
light. A
Go
little
ahead,
wave popped up. I'll stop now.
I
Thank you.
think this whole section starts with death is the dream from all other dreams come from. So without I think you basically said it, Lynn. There is no world without death. The central dream in which all dreams come from is the dream of death.
Exactly. This is what, when Nicole is pointing out the cup, why, no, what is this cup for? What do I need these things for? What do I need a jacket for? What do I need a computer for? What do I need? I need all these things because I think that I am lacking in everything. I am helpless in this world without water to drink. I'm helpless in this world without a computer to talk to people with. I'm helpless in the world without a chair for my butt to sit in. I'm helpless in this world. Why is that? Because everything is depending on everything else, and nothing lasts. Nothing has any permanence or any reality to it. In reality, I don't need a chair. I don't have a butt. I don't need water. I have a body. These are all these things are symbols of death. And Nicole, I see you have your hand up again. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, there's another side of it that's been coming up for me too. And, I'm going to quote another teaching, and that's like, be like the lilies of the field, right? Okay, who don't toil and whatever, and don't have to worry. We don't need to worry. Who can better provide for your whatever and joy than he can? All right. So a lot of this stuff that we are generating and projecting in the world is in order, and it relates directly back to the paragraph Dove posted before. It's about seeking joy or whatever, or safety, or peace of mind, or whatever these means. And it's because we've forgotten that this is actually the inheritance we have all could be provided for us. We don't need to have these, we have these beliefs, we need to have a job in order for this, to have this, that we won't be provided for, all coming from fear, a dream of fear. We won't be provided for and then we will die, so we've got to this or whatever else. It's just a dream of separation, an illusion of separation from God and our inheritance, from our inheritance.
Yep. And it's a dream of death, and we have never been separated. So who's gonna take care of me? I'm already taken care of. This is a dream. I'm dreaming, and I don't have to worry about my house payment or whatever, because those are all parts of the dream that are being taken care of without my interference. I don't even need to do anything. That's what's so beautiful about I need do nothing. Let's read the last paragraph. We have enough time to read paragraph 7, and it's the last paragraph of this section. And I think there's only one section left, or maybe 2 left after this. So who would like to read paragraph 7? Laura has her hand up. Go ahead, Laura.
Teacher of God, your one assignment could be stated thus: accept no compromise in which death plays a part. Do not believe in cruelty, nor let attack conceal the truth from you. What seems to die has been misperceived and carried to illusion. Now it becomes your task to let the illusion be carried to the truth. Be steadfast, but in this: be not deceived by the reality of any changing form. Truth neither moves nor wavers nor sinks down to death and disillusion. And what is the end of death? Nothing but this: the realization that the Son of God is guiltless now and forever. Nothing but this. But do not let yourself forget it is not less than this. No, I needed that today.
Yeah. Do you have any comments about what you just read?
You know, the ego is in conflict with God. So thus there's death, just to prove there is no God. There's life ends. So I'm kind of going back to the previous paragraph on that. That's the ego once again trying to convince us that God isn't real and that the ego is. So
Yeah, thank you, Laura. I like what he says here. And what is the end of death? Nothing but this, the realization that the Son of God is guiltless now and forever. Nothing but this. So what does guilt have to do with it? So what does guilt have to do with it? Is guilt the reason I think that that things have to die because they're not right, they're faulty, they're not in compliance with God's will. I'm guilty because I think I'm a separate being from God and from my brother, so I must die because of my guilt. What is he talking about here?
yeah,
Yeah. Go ahead.
exactly. No, I agree with you. That's
Yeah. I mean, where is the guilt? This is something that I came to a kind of understanding about the other day. Talking about guilt, is looking at, for instance, looking at the world and seeing, you're guilty. Everything's guilty. Everybody's guilty. Everything is guilty. What are they guilty of? Being not perfect. The prices are guilty of being too high. People are guilty of being too easy to get upset. My body is guilty of being old and sickly. Everywhere I look, everything I look at appears to have a fault and be guilty of being not in accordance with God's will. Because isn't God's will for me perfect happiness? So if I'm not experiencing that, if I'm not seeing that, if I'm looking at the world and seeing everything as being wrong and faulty and guilty, then that's why death has to occur. Death is the penalty, for guilt.
that's what I was going to just say.
Yeah.
The guilty must be punished.
The guilty must be punished, and you must die. Nicole, please go ahead.
Beautiful synchronicity again. When I was talking about my dad earlier and that kind of thinking in relation to the fearful thoughts and stuff, and how I've ended up taking them on board through actually, like I came out going, no, that's not right, and yet I took them on trying to convince otherwise. How do I know that's not what he did? He probably was the same child and then ended up taking on whatever. But the point is the guilt thing, okay? Our illusions of difficulty, for example, we project onto the world. It says here the realization, capital letters, Son of God, right? That's the creation, right? The Son of God, God's one Son, right? Okay. Our illusions of difficulty. Oh, things are hard because here we are pointing fingers, guilty, right? Yeah. and we think this is just the way it is. You know, things are hard, things are difficult. This is the way the world works. This is what happens with this. These are all beliefs. These are all concepts. And these are things we are projecting at the generators and projectors onto this light, onto this creation, onto our using our inheritance. We are, you know, you could say we're squandering our inheritance, but we're also innocent. The world is innocent. It's not even really truly a world. You know, it's innocent. And it's our beliefs that have given rise to the illusion and drawn forth and brought forth the witnesses to what we believe. But it's innocent. So I kind of see it that way too, you know. Thanks.
Thank you. And yeah, and Jesus tells us, if you could just but see one brother who is worthy of forgiveness, or one brother as sinless, or to see the world as sinless, if we could just see the world as sinless, then death could never be, because there's no penalty for what never happened. And so for us to look at the world and see that it's innocent, to look at our brothers and see that they're innocent, you know, I think that's where I have, of course, you know, I just see guilt everywhere I look. You know, I see this politician is doing that, or this, you know, bad parent did this to their child, or, you know, this you know, priest did this, or this, you know, I'm looking around and looking, seeing, or my car broke down, or my, you know, it snowed and froze my garden, or, you know, I could look everywhere and see faulty things and project guilt, project guilt, project guilt. And I think what Jesus is asking us to do is to look at, as you were saying, the innocence of all of it, and to recognize that there's nothing guilty, because nothing happened and nothing has gone wrong. So if we're just looking at the world and seeing that it is innocent and that love is all that's really here, then, you know, what needs to die? What would be the point of it? There's nothing that needs to change. And change is another word for death. If you want something to change, you want it dead. I want it to be this way and not this way. Which means that the possibility of it being this way is cut off completely, killed, so that it can be this way. And I mean, that's all we're doing, is killing everything that we don't want to see. But it doesn't matter, because even if we got what we wanted, we would soon find fault with it and want it to be dead too. This is what I was talking about the other night, about the whole thing of more. I want more. You know, if I won $1 million in the lottery, do you think I would stop buying lottery tickets? No, but I would go buy I would go and buy more lottery tickets. Why? Because I could win more. And I would, and that's how we are. You know, if I find a great partner, you know, how long am I going to be happy with that partner if they remain the same and never change and never improve and never, you know, I'm going to be looking at him going, well, yeah, I put up with you, you know, not having a job for a year, but, you know, you need to buck up and go to work, sir. You know, I mean, we always want something more out of something that we thought was good at first. It's never good enough. And we will never have enough as long as we're looking at the world and seeing it as being imperfect, sinful, guilty. So, I mean, what Jesus is saying here is absolutely true. As long as I'm seeing fault and seeing guilt, death is inevitable. But when I see that everything is exactly perfect the way it is, nothing can go wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. Any other thoughts here?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
it's not inevitable because there is no death. There is no death. It's confusing content and form. All right. I think it was the paragraph before or the one before where he speaks about eternal. Or was that on the other one? Amazing how Dove brought in that other paragraph. Okay. That all things are eternal. They're all eternal. All is eternal. Right. All things are eternal because they're not a thing. We're confusing content and form. We're confusing waves with the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If we're looking at form, it will never be perfect because we'll always want it to be different.
Yeah, passing phenomena, like it's like wanting the cloud to remain, but the cloud's not going to remain. The cloud will drift off and change shape and disappear in an eternal sky, which it is part of.
Right.
Yeah. That's all.
Thank you, Nicole. Anybody else have any comments? Well, I think we're at the end. We're not quite at the end of our hour, but our next section we start is what is the resurrection? And I think that's it. Yeah, that's we have what is the resurrection, and then as for the rest, which is just a couple of paragraphs. And so
then is the clarification of terms.
Yeah, and so let us do that next. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
But next week we'll start with what is the resurrection, and let's see, anything else?
And it's in the introduction to the clarification that I had my awakening.
Very cool. We will have fun talking about that.
Oh, I can't wait to hear. Oh my God, I'm a little newbie.
I've said it many times.
I've never heard it done.
I've said it many times.
I'm a newbie.
It takes a second to say it. It takes only a second. Okay. I'm listening to Ken Wapnick sharing on the introduction to the clarification of terms. And I hear in my head, I think it's either Spirit, Jesus, I don't know, but it says, Dove, close the book already. And it's as clear as I'm speaking. You can't find yourself in a book. A book is concepts, words, symbols. You're not a concept. Close the book. That happened in the year that we started ACIM Gather, 2004.
But he didn't close the book.
I did. That's the year I started the 12 core themes of A Course in Miracles.
Yeah. Right, exactly. So, all right. Well, thanks, you guys. I love you all. And it's good to see everyone here this evening. Look forward to seeing you all probably maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, whenever.